Welcome to SAT TV News. I am Desmond Joseph and I am your presenter for today. In our top stories, police investigating Dominicans involved in money laundering scheme. New cruise port under consideration for Grenada. Afghanistan labeled as the drug addiction capital. And in sports, WICB's president welcomes efforts to resolve Guyana cricket dispute. Details of these and other stories will follow.
No child from 2012 onwards should be born with HIV. Even if you infected with HIV, you're still a human being. They're still living, they're still breathing, so we gotta love and respect them. Darren Sami here endorsing the Live Up campaign. 2012, from now on, no Caribbean child born with HIV. We're moving forward, we're educating our people, and it's all about love, protect, respect.
Live up, shout, live up, live up.
The Central Statistics Office will be conducting training from the 2013 Labor Force Survey from 11th to 13th April. Chief Statistician Mrs. Prema Carrett says the primary objective of such surveys is to provide current information on labor market characteristics and labor market trends. This includes estimates of employment and unemployment.
These surveys present useful data to both government and the private sector for purposes of planning and formulating policies. In addition, these will also provide information to meet the global commitment to complete the Millennium Development Goals. Today, we are happy to realize persevering efforts to continue the conduct of components of the labor market information through multi-annual household surveys.
Mrs. Carrett added that these efforts have also been supported on a regional level. Representative from the Organization of East Caribbean States, Mr. Sean Maturel, says the training is taking place at an ideal time because the OECS Secretariat is giving priority attention to ensure that the right structures are in place.
Technical level, therefore, this training activity, which is taking place today, falls squarely within the top-level agenda for the OECS Secretariat. Furthermore, the approach to the production of statistics has been identified by the OECS Secretariat as one of the priority areas of work to which the discipline of thinking and acting regionally needs to be immediately applied. Indeed, it has been accepted that a unified approach to the production and availability of harmonized, comparable, complete, timely, and reliable statistics across the OECS is vital to our very definition as a regional unit.
Mr. McDonald Thomas, representative of the Caribbean Development Bank, stated that the labor force survey does not only provide information on employment, but it also provides statistical information on birth rates.
It also gives us information on what we call decent work, because work by itself is something that we have been, in this region, we have known for centuries, and not always work means decent work. The ILO and the labor force survey in the OECS countries has a long history, trial and error, successes and instances of less success. But one of the things that is constant is that we keep on going, and I can say that over the many years that we have been involved, there is a constant improvement over what we have been able to accomplish in terms of providing support to the region.
Mr. Thomas told the participants that at the end of this training workshop, they should not believe they are experts in the field of statistics because there is a lot more to learn. In more news, individuals involved in the sale and cultivation of agricultural produce are being urged to obtain the proper license to do so, while those with expired license are advised to make the necessary arrangements to have them renewed. This includes the farmer who is the owner of the land and produces licensable agricultural produce for sale, and the produce peddler or market vendor who is licensed to sell agricultural produce. Communications Officer in the Division of Agriculture, Mrs. Delia Coffey Weeks, said this is important as persons who are not licensed but involved in the sale of agricultural produce can and will be punished by law according to the Sale of Produce Act in the laws of Dominica.
What it really deals with is all of the procedures that need to be followed so that people can legally trade in agricultural produce. What has happened, the reason that it is so much in the news now is because we're at that time where licenses have just expired. All licenses expire on the 31st of March every year. And so we are reminding all holders and all people who need to transact business with agricultural produce to ensure that they are holders of the appropriate licenses so that they can conduct their business without any problems.
Any person who sells or exports licensable produce without first having obtained the relevant license commits an offense. The license must therefore be renewed by the 1st of April of each year. It shall be the duty of every person purchasing produce from any person peddling the same to call for the production of such person's produce sellers or peddlers license and, in default of production, to ascertain the name and address of the seller or peddler and report the matter to the police.
We know that there are a lot of people who plant or who rear animals, but there are more people who harvest. What I'm saying is that some people do not plant anything, but they're very present for harvest, and sometimes they harvest before the people who have planted. The reason that they continue their harvest is because they have a ready market. They are able to dispose of the stolen property. We are trying to clamp down on that, and if all of the systems are put in place and it works as it should, then it means that even if you have stolen somebody's produce, because you are not a registered farmer or a dealer or a huckster, then you would not have a license to transact that kind of business.
Mrs. Weeks mentioned that the license is also a way of keeping track and ensuring that persons are accountable for the produce they sell and that they are not harvesting from the farms of others. Therefore, both the public and the farmers are protected.
If you are interested in getting a license to sell agricultural produce, then you check with your area extension officer who will fill out a form for you. When the form is filled out and signed by your extension officer, you go to government headquarters with 2 ID size photographs and you pay $10 for the license. You will be issued with a receipt for the payment and also a book in which you will keep a record of all your transactions. Then you come to the Botanic Gardens with one of the photographs and one of the forms, and we will prepare a picture ID for you.
This picture ID can be used as an official form of identification when one is transacting business in the sale of agricultural produce. Mrs. Weeks stated that the hard work farmers preparing crops and rearing animals for slaughter need to be applauded, and it is unfair that someone else should reap their rewards. She said anyone or business has a right to ask anyone where they are purchasing produce from for their license to ensure they are not purchasing stolen goods. In other news, following negotiations, Light and Power Holdings Limited LPH of Barbados acquired a 52% interest in Dominica Electricity Services Limited DOMLEC from WRB Enterprises Incorporated WRB of Tampa, Florida. This transaction follows an announcement on November 28, 2012 that LPH had signed a letter of intent with WRB for the acquirement of DOMLEC and is now the majority shareholder of the company. DOMLEC is the sole provider of electricity for the Commonwealth of Dominica, serving 34,000 customers. The Dominica Social Security owns 21%, with the remaining 27% held by other investors. LPH Managing Director Mr. Peter Williams said the achievement of Domlec is consistent with their policy to build a business of scale in the Caribbean. We believe our operational expertise, joined with the team at Domlec, will create new potential for adding value to the benefit of customers in Dominica. We look forward to working with the other investors, including Dominica Social Security, to ensure that Domlec continues to provide an excellent electricity service, which is essential to Dominica's economic development, said Mr. Williams. WRB's President Bob Blanchard Jr. stated that WRB is proud of its association with Domlec and the company's accomplishment over the years. He added they are confident that LPH's experience in the utility business will enhance the capacity of Domlec to serve its customers. We now go to Larry for a report.
A number of individuals are assisting police while they investigate persons who are allegedly involved in a major money laundering activity involving a substantial amount of money. Police Public Relations Officer Inspector John Carbon confirmed that although some individuals are in police custody, others are being sought for questioning in connection to their investigation. Reports are that the individuals allegedly received daily transfers of almost $10,000 at Western Union from an unidentified sender in the United States and Canada. The maximum amount of cash one can obtain from Western Union or MoneyGram without declaring the source of funds is $10,000. Inspector Carbon stated as soon as they have all the individuals involved in this criminal act in custody, full details will be released. SAT TV News will provide an update on this unfolding story in a subsequent newscast as more information becomes available.
Thank you, Larry, for that report. In more news, the Roseau City Council welcomed a delegation of 50 people from Martinique on Wednesday, April 10th to discuss avenues of business among other matters. In his address to the delegates, Mr. Joseph mentioned that he felt welcome on his first visit to Martinique.
And by so I gave her a cadeau in return to come to Dominica. So the ticket that Yvette had to come to Dominica, I bought it for Yvette. Tu es jolie, mademoiselle. Merci Yvette, bienvenue pour mon pays, Martinique.
Mr. Joseph stated that it is vital that we all understand that we are in the same Caribbean water.
And today, 500 years later, we are Dominicans speaking English and your Martinican speaking French.
Et aujourd'hui, 700 années plus tard, nous sommes les Dominicains qui parlent anglais et vous êtes les Martiniquais qui parlent français.
And we know the work that Dominica has done in ensuring that the French remain alive during the war.
There are many French individuals who died and were buried in Dominica, and this gives us as a people the duty of ensuring that we love each other, he stated. He said, in this world today, we have to work together.
Why? We have seen Europe, America, the economies are getting bad and bad and bad every day.
Puisqu'on voit que les économies de l'Europe et de l'Amérique deviennent de plus en plus mauvais.
And as a people in the same waters, we must remain together to ensure our culture, to ensure our status remain alive for the rest of the world.
Mr. Joseph commented that this is the reason why Dominica has created the World Creole Music Festival. He added that this helps sustain our culture. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.